On the other end, you see the comments?
Yeah.
You see him?
Yep.
What's the word, family? We finna drop about some real stuff today. We got brother Celine here OG in the community in the field when it comes to knowledge and dropping it. He's damn near on Phil Valentine's level, but he might not have that same exposure. But when it comes to the knowledge and what he brings to the table, he got his own book. He does the research. He's been in the field for a long time, and he you know what I'm saying, he got his little fan base too though. But when it comes to Phil Valentine's, he up there with him. I feel I've been studying him too as well, and I just want to bring him onto my platform to kind of wake everybody up. And I also got my homie Beretta, who you know, so you get the youth point of view, and then you get like an OG point of view, but at the same time is what y'all need to hear. And I need y'all to share this link and just, you know, pay attention, comment, whatever. We're gonna be paying attention to y'all, trying to answer some of y'all questions. But go ahead, brother Celine. Go ahead. I need you to go ahead and start dropping on the youth for me real quick.
Well, the first thing that I would like to say, my brother, I would like to open up by saying without education and information, there can be no inspiration or motivation. The written word is more powerful than a loaded gun. We must educate to liberate. We must educate to liberate. I say once again, we must educate to liberate. I'm just here trying to do my part to carry on for the ancestors. I'm talking about all the great heroes and sheroes, warriors and warriorettes who came to wake us up and shake us up. I'm talking about people like the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, the Black Panthers, you know, Dr. King. You know, it's a long list. I'd be here all night if I tried to recite all the names. You understand? But we have to understand our role. And that's what I'm motivated to do all my life, is to try to motivate others in our community, in our race, you know, to stand up, to be unified with each other, to understand that it's our job and our responsibility as Black men to provide and protect the women and children of our community.
Now, how long you been preaching in the conscious community?
Well, my brother, actually, I've been active in the conscious community for about over 40 something years. When I was 19 years of age, a young man in the armed forces, an older brother, Black brother, came to me one day and he said, "Come on up to my room." And then when I came up to his room, he began to open up books. Nobody had ever done me like that before. This Black man was a strong Black brother, and he began to feed me knowledge and information about myself, something that no other man had ever done to me. And that impacted me for the rest of my life. And I made up my mind that I would spend the rest of my life trying to touch others as he had touched me.
Definitely. And I ain't gonna lie, like, it's been a point of time where like the conscious community was kind of overlooked, where people kind of look like, of course, the intelligent people paid attention to it, but the masses kind of overlooked it. But now it's coming to a term where it's like the youth and some people are trying to hop on board, but I don't think they're doing it for the right terms. But some people are, but they see that it is bringing attention, and a lot of people, the wrong people, is kind of getting on board where they misleading the youth and sending people off. So it's time to go back to the roots and bring in the originators of the conscious community.
Absolutely. And it's great that you mentioned that, because I have seen, especially on YouTube, a lot of what I call the organizational gangbanging. You understand? Mm-hmm. You got the Muslims against the Hebrews against the Kemetic community, the Christians against the Black nationalists, the Rastas against this group. You understand? We need to bring all that madness to an end and understand that we're all in this together. The uniform is Black, just like the Honorable Khalid Muhammad used to say. And we need to understand, you know, that you know, it's lame, you know, when you decide to pick up a weapon to harm another man that looks just like you, that came from the same background, same community that you came from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think that disconnection come into at? Because I know what I noticed, like with a lot of elders in the generation, it was more more of a unit than what it is now. Now it seems like there's more of a disconnect between the younger generation and the older generation. And how do you think that came into play? Is that through music, or what form?
Well, it's a good question, my brother, and you're absolutely correct. I witnessed some semblance of unity, when I was coming up in the '60s and the '70s as a young man. And to answer your question, my brother, that disconnect, and I would say the cause of it started over 400 something years, really long before that, because more than 5,000 years ago. Let me go back into history for a minute. I understand because it's really important that we as a race of people understand that over 5,000 years ago in the ancient Indus Valley, there was a magnificent black people called the Dravidians. Look the word up. They were a black people of ancient Indian, and they had a magnificent civilization. And what happened? We had some European barbarians come down from Europe who studied the civilization. They were highly impressed with the civilization. They decided to conquer it.
Yeah.
Well, in that black civilization, they had the concept of dualism, black versus white, night being good, the daytime being positive and spiritual, et cetera, et cetera. So they studied the ideology of these ancient black people. And the first time
these people are called the Trividians?
No, the Dravidians with a D on the beginning. So the first time these European barbarians called the Aryans, they failed to conquer these magnificent black people. But the second time they were successful in conquering them. And the reason why was because they had instilled a brainwashing mechanism in these black people. So the second time they were able to completely destroy, and the black Dravidians are wiped out today. And the only thing that's left in India is the caste system run by the Brahmins, the fair-skinned Indians, and they have complete domination of what they call the Dalits or the Shudras in India today. They are the descendants of the ancient Dravidians. So why am I saying all this? I'm saying all this to say that the brainwashing mechanism against the black race to turn us against each other, it started long before Willie Lynch.
That's what I was going to get into. It seemed like he was Willie Lynch before Willie Lynch. That's what it sounded like.
Exactly. That's what this race of people were, the ancient Aryans, European barbarians that were jealous and envious of our ancient black ancestors. And so, this conspiracy, to dominate and brainwash people and turn us against each other started thousands of years ago, and it carried on, from Willie Lynch, from them using the Bible, white Christians using the Bible, and other religious books to completely dominate and brainwash us. It went from that to the Willie Lynch letter syndrome, and also the COINTEL files of the FBI, in which they said that they wanted to prevent the youth, young black youth, from waking up, that they would come up with all kind of methods in order to keep psychological warfare and tactics to keep the black youth from waking up to the need for black self-determination and helping their race.
Man, I want to brief intermission. Anybody who's watching this right now, I need y'all to share this link. We need to get this message out there. But go ahead, brother.
Okay, like one thing that's happening right now with the black youth that we all been witnessing what's going on as far as with the drill culture and the attack on us, our separations to our neighborhoods that we came up in that none of us own. Could you touch up a little bit upon that about dissing the dead and how these young dudes are now kind of living the lives of their music and even reaching a demise of the music that they're putting out too?
Well, every day when I turn on the 6 o'clock news, it's a sad reality. When I either turn on the 6 o'clock news or I get up first thing in the morning and turn on the news, it gets very depressing to the point that sometimes I don't even want to turn on the news because I know what I'm in for. I know what my ears are going to hear. I'm tired of hearing about a little baby little newborn baby got hit by a stray bullet
Mm-hmm.
through a window. I'm tired of, the fact that our children, as they used to, they can't even go to the playground, to play games and have fun because some of our men, are so out of their natural mind, their God-given mind, that they don't value life anymore. It's a very sad situation. And, when I was coming up here in Chicago as a young man, there was a gang problem also, but it wasn't nearly as deadly as it is today, because I'm sure you all have heard it as young men, that back in the day, there were just some things that the old gangbangers, the old heads wouldn't do, when they was out there on the street. You see, but the younger generation here, they are they've been cloned to be something different on a more destructive level, my brother. But again, it all goes back to the brainwashing that we have undergone here as a race. When I was in Africa, I just came back from Africa about a week ago, and there's one thing that I noticed about the people that I spent time with, the country. They did not have liquor stores on every other block in their community. They did not have. When you turn on the news in the country of Gambia, West Africa, which is the country that I visited, they did not have. When you turn on the news, reports about a child or a young person getting hit by bullets. Mm-hmm. They did not have that. The police system there, even the police system there is there. Most of the police there don't even carry weapons. You see? So the black people in Gambia, West Africa don't have to worry about getting in their automobile as a young black person and being pulled over and shot to death. Yes. So what does this tell me? What does this tell Brother Salim? This tells Brother Salim that a lot of things that we are going through or experiencing here in the hellhole of America is strategically planned to be that way. Mm-hmm. They have an agenda to keep black people divided against each other, to have black people fighting and killing each other. And it's imperative, that our young people wake up and understand the plan that's going on.
That's what
we're here today to expose.
Yeah, that's what we're here to do. Get some of these young brothers to wake up and realize what's actually being planned against us.
Exactly.
Being planned against us.
Let me just take a minute. You brought up the Willie Lynch letter a few minutes ago. Let me just read a couple of excerpts from the Willie Lynch letter. And let me also advise the listeners, the audience, the listening audience and the viewing audience that it's been put out in recent time that the Willie Lynch letter is not authentic, it's not real, it's supposed to be based on fiction, etc., etc., etc. But my reply to that regardless of whether it's fiction, regardless of whether it's authentically written by a white man 100-some years ago by the name of Willie Lynch, when you read it, understand what I'm saying? When you read it, we see that what's written in the Willie Lynch document fits in with what's going on here today. Now, what is the purpose of the Willie Lynch letter? The Willie Lynch letter, it says, is a study of the scientific process of man breaking and slave making. Let me repeat that one more again. It's the scientific process of man breaking and slave making. We have to understand what was done to us as a race of people. You understand? Going back to slavery, we were broken on the slave plant. The black man could not be a real man. He could not protect his women and children. And he was made into a slave. What is a slave? A slave is no different from a cow or a horse or animal on the farm that is there for the benefit of its master. And the same process is going on today in America with the black man. We're being programmed. We're being made into psychological slaves of white supremacy to hate, destroy, and kill each other. Let me read you something else. They say in the Willie Lynch letter, don't you forget, now this is a quote from the Willie Lynch letter. It said, don't you forget to pitch the old black male versus the young black male and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slaves and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slave. You must use the female versus the male. This is the gender war that most of us take part in today. You understand? We hate the black woman. The black woman hate us. The black woman call us dog. Yeah. We call them bitches and hoes.
Just off Section 8, trying to be with the government. They promote you. Man can't be in the crib. You got to hide the clothes. You got to do certain things.
Exactly.
To get government help.
Exactly. It says you must have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks, but it's necessary that your slave trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust us only. This is the white man, and his plan is being implemented today. It's successful today. You mentioned the music. You know how look at how the white executives running the rap music industry is manipulating other black rappers to be against each other, calling each other Opps. That's part and parcel.
That's part of that Willie
program. You know, whether you accept it as fiction or not. But let me point something else out about that. Even if we accept that the Willie Lynch letter is fiction or not authentic, but there was another book written by a white slave master. His name was Reverend Charles Colcott Jones. Let me repeat that one more again. His name was Reverend Charles Colcott Jones. He wrote a book entitled How to Make Negroes a Christian. And it's virtually the same program.
I've heard of that.
For making a nigger a slave as the Willie Lynch letter. So whether we deal with the Willie Lynch letter or whether we deal with the book written by Reverend Charles Colcott Jones, there has always been a plan. You understand? Ever since we got off them slave boats, black man and woman, in order to enslave us, brainwash us, and divide us against each other, as we see happening, you know, with the various gangs today. The Crips against the Bloods, the Blackstone Rangers against the Disciples here in Chicago and all across the country.
Yeah. Now, another thing I wanted to get into was the Roe versus Wade, and your opinions on that. And you know, how do you feel about that? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
My personal opinion, based on my own documented research, I do homework, you know, and everything that I say, my brother, I try to say or based on research and documented information. The whole, I don't give a damn about them overdoing the abortion law, Roe versus Wade. I tell you, the reason why is because the abortion agenda is racist, is based on white supremacy, and black people are being victimized by it. Why do I say that? Because the abortion movement was mainly started, the abortion and birth control movement was started by a white supremacist bitch by the name of Margaret Sanger. And anybody could do the homework, do the research for themselves. This is not something that I'm making up. The whole population, Planned Parenthood agenda is about black population control and control of other minorities. They don't give a damn about black people. They misname it family planning. But if you're killing babies, how is that family planning? You understand? Okay. And we also
one thing I want to know about Margaret Sanger. Around what era? What year was she getting started working on the Planned Parenthood and the abortions and birth control and stuff like that.
If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on this. I believe it was somewhere in between the 1920s and the 1940s, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But look up the information for yourself. But what we need to understand is the sinister occult roots of the abortion movement. The abortion movement is run by satanic occult witches and sorceresses. Why do I say that? Because one of the figures, if you look up, go into Greek and Roman mythology and look up, and also biblical mythology, and look up this demonic entity called Lilith. Did you know, for example, that the many people in the feminist movement, they idolize this demonic entity called Lilith, even to the point that every year they have Lilith festival. Now, who was Lilith? Lilith, according to Jewish mythology and legend, was a demonic, demon, a female demon who they say was married, the first wife of Adam.
Adam, yeah, the first she demon.
And her nature was that she did not like to submit to the authority of her husband Adam, which is the same characteristic of many women in the feminist movement. Now, not only was Lilith rebellious against her man, but Lilith was also the murderer of babies. Lilith, let me repeat that one more again for those that didn't get it. Lilith was also the murderer of babies. All right. So when these feminists in their satanic yearly ritual of the Lilith festival have their festival, they are glorifying a demonic entity who is the murderer of babies, which is the theme of the abortion movement, to kill as many babies as possible. And I speak out against this on social media, particularly because you have a lot of abortion clinics oversaturating the Black community. You understand? We don't understand that this is another method of warfare. This population control movement, this birth control, this abortion movement is another method of population control against the Black race. And these white feminists do not have the best interests of Black women. But what they would do, let me show you the tactic that they will do, is they will appoint a Black woman to be the head of Planned Parenthood in order to deceive and manipulate our women in the same way that Margaret Sanger back in the day said it, and this is a matter of record, that she would use the Black preachers in order to push the birth control and population control agenda.
Margaret Sanger.
And today, let me get this out. And today, who do you find pushing the in support of abortion rights and the population birth control movement, but leaders like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, who also support the LBGT agenda, which is also anti-Black.
The Democratic Party.
The Democrats.
Yeah. Not
that the Republicans are any better. You said, because Malcolm used to say, Malcolm X used to say, what the Democrats and the Republicans was the wolves and the foxes. One was the fox, the other was the wolf. This is what we need to understand as a race of people.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. At the end of the day, I think anything organized is controlled. So like when it comes to the government, anything like that, like they trying to make it seem like we got free will, free this, free that, but at the end of the day, I really do think everything boiled down to a final decision, no matter what, when it comes to politics. And like you said, they got an agenda from day one. You got to think about it, like picture being in slavery, and like what made you cool as a slave owner to have many slaves? So what if one day you woke up and you was outnumbered? Not only outnumbered, but you got the people who think like, hey, this is cruel. They humans too. You ain't supposed to be doing this. So now you got the white people and you outnumbered by black people. So what's the best thing to do? To retreat and come up with a plan.
That's right. And that's another trick that they pull on us, every year with this census, making us think that we are far outnumbered, 300-something million white people and only 30 to 40 million. They've been repeating that lie for the last 40 years. Yes, it's way more than way more black people in this country. They just don't want us to know our numbers because we know our numbers, we know our spread.
Yeah, that's probably something to do with taxes and a lot, because it's something, being a first class citizen and a second class citizen, basically a minority or a majority, it's something to do with taxes in that too. So about when we do become a majority, that's probably gonna hurt their pockets a little bit.
Right.
So I wanted, what are you familiar with William Cooper? William Cooper. The reason why I ask you that is because
he wrote the book The Pale Horse.
That recent mass shooting that they just had. I remember hearing him speak a lot about mass shootings that was to come in the future or whatever.
Yes.
And this one that just happened at the black grocery store in Buffalo, New York. Aaron Salter, which was the police officer, I have seen online that he had created some hydrogen engines that run off of water. And he was advocating for that, looking for some investors to help him facilitate that to the masses. And I wanted to see how did you feel about that agenda that William Cooper was trying to expose way back then?
Well, I read William Cooper's book about 20 years ago. Very, very interesting book. In that book, for those that may not know, William Cooper was a ex-naval intelligence officer that had access to the highest secrets of the documented info of the land. And he wrote that book, Pale Horse, to expose government conspiracy, secret societies. He mentioned in that book that AIDS was a virus created in the germ warfare laboratory, mainly targeting black people, the same as they do today with their with the needle program that's going on. I don't want to mention a certain word because we might get cut off or censored, but the needle program that's going on around America today, there's been some information put out that it's certain things that they're putting in there that's really designed for black. But anyway, William Cooper, he pulled a lot of people's coat. And one of the things I remember reading in the book is he mentioned that there would be a series of school shootings. He mentioned specifically in the book that would be designed to bring about the loss of your right to self-protection, with the gun, and also bring about certain martial law or, certain facets government policies designed to, put the American people in check. So, and then unfortunately, after a few years after writing this book, for those that may not know, William Cooper had an incident with a policeman in front of his house where he was shot to death. But prior to that, he had already predicted that if anything happened to him, it would be a hit against him. You see, so this is a very important book to read. The Pale Horse.
I definitely
encourage everybody to get a copy of it.
Yeah, that's the Behold the Pale Horse. I definitely got to go back and read a lot of it. I never really finished through the whole book, but I picked up on a couple of highlights. And so at the gas station, Aaron Salter, the guy that who built the hydrogen engine, he was the first victim of that mass shooting out in Buffalo, New York, at the grocery store with all the black folks. That's just something I wanted to ask you about too. How you see the rise of the gas prices? All these prices is rising up, and at the same time, this death of Aaron Salter Jr. or Sr. at the grocery store, who had maybe had cracked the code to get us all some hydrogen engines. Do you think that's something that was a planned hit?
Well, let me say this here. First of all, is this the same brother, the brother that you're speaking of that got killed? Is this the same man that invented this machine that would manipulate water in some kind of way that it would? No, pardon me. Let me correct myself. He created a machine in which it would draw air into the machine and create water out of the air. Is that the same individual?
I believe so.
It may be different because this brother recently had his machine damaged by vandals. And I'm just saying that to say, to lead into my comment on your question, is that anytime anyone comes up with something to benefit the masses of the people and corporate interests,
self-independence,
cannot benefit from it, right? You always look for something strange to happen to them. I remember when that leader, this car manufacturer, DeLorean, many years ago, 30, 40 years ago, he created his own automobiles, and then he began to get in trouble with the law and ended up in jail because he bucked General Motors. Yeah, and so it wouldn't surprise me. And another thing that I'd like to point out, I encourage the listeners and the viewers to look up the term Manchurian candidate. Look up or Google CIA and Manchurian candidates, because that's one of the things that William Cooper spoke of in the book, The Pale Horse, and something that I found out when I read a book called Operation Mind Control. I read that book about 30 years ago by W.H. Boyd, and in that book, he pointed out a secret government CIA program in which they would use hypnosis, drugs, and other methods to create mind control zombies that would be programmed to kill people. They would be mind control assassins to carry out their acts. Excuse me. And in a lot of assassinations that have taken place over the centuries, that seems to be the same script over and over and over. And I wouldn't doubt that some of these violent black on black murders that's taking place in the black community designed to terrorize our people probably could be the same thing.
I definitely agree with that. I can definitely agree with that.
Now, I do want to get back onto the Roe versus Wade, though, because we kind of drifted off from there, because I want to get more in detail in that and kind of break that down some more with our opinions, and maybe help the listeners out when it comes to how they move when it comes to their agenda. Certain things they do, it'll go over a lot of people's heads, but I think we can help expose some of that stuff today.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of females on social media prior to this being overturned was already stressing about the fact of the shortage of Enfamil, Similac, and baby formulas. And now all of a sudden, I guess a few weeks later, now this Roe versus Wade thing get overturned. So I know to the natural eye, it kind of looks like abortions we can't get no abortions, and we running out of baby Enfamil. So it seems like it's to be a lot of starving babies coming out. But maybe you could touch back up on some of that Roe versus Wade.
Well, as far as the Roe versus Wade thing is concerned, my personal opinion is that no black female has any reason to abort a baby, except in a couple of cases. Let me mention that. If her life is in danger, if she's raped or molested or the victim of incest, I personally believe that both the black man and woman should be spending more time fighting for they often say, well, I'm going to get an abortion because I can't afford this child. But if we look in the history of our ancestors, no matter how many children were born, we always found a way to feed each one of the family members. So what I'm saying, this is a big household. So what I'm just saying, and this is my personal opinion, nobody has to agree with me. I believe that there should be a fight with black men and women joining in together, my brother, to fight for jobs and businesses to be able to take care of our children economically. If a black woman feels that she cannot afford a child, give it up for adoption. Why be a part of our enemy's agenda to destroy our own children. Did you know? A lot of people don't know this fact, my brother. They don't know that black women having abortions have killed more black male youth than all the victims of black gang violence in a year's time.
I never knew that.
That's a fact. You can look it up for yourself. There are more babies, black babies dying of abortion than there are people killing black gang violence. So for black women to join on to the abortion movement is race suicide. Think about how many potential doctors, black doctors, have they killed when they aborted their black sons? How many potential black scientists? How many great basketball players or sports stars have black women aborted by following these racist white feminists who don't give a damn about black people?
Yeah, activists. We could have been having activists. A lot of the black real estate agents, black realtors. What
about the next Malcolm X or Dr. Martin Luther King that would have been born from the womb of a black woman that chose to kill her infant?
Yeah.
Do we ever think about things like that?
Yeah.
No, we're silly people following a white racist agenda for white supremacy and population control.
Yeah,
these people don't give a damn about black people.
I believe that it shouldn't have been legalized in the first place, but since they legalized it for so long, they definitely it's going to be a lot of pushback on it now since they it's been legalized for so many years.
What was you about to say? The abortion, them killing that abortion law was designed to boost up the birth rate of white female babies.
Yeah. And one thing I feel too, you gotta think about it. If you go back to before all this stuff started kicking off, like we can't say certain names, but it was a lot of people going on Facebook about how, they didn't want to get any type of needles or while they was pregnant. They didn't want to do anything that can jeopardize the baby. There was a lot of people standing up to eating healthy, being healthy, being pro-black and staying away from the needle. You know what I'm saying, for their kids. It was a lot of people going on Facebook where the doctors were trying to force them to do stuff. So you gotta think about it. The agenda that they had is backfiring to where some of the generation is probably waking up more than what they want, and they need. I feel they feed off our babies.
They do
with fake
manipulation. Intimidation is very real.
Yeah,
just real quick, as evidence. Again, I don't say anything that I can't back up with documented information, my brothers and sisters and viewing audience. Here's a book. The author is Dorothy Roberts. The name of the book is Killing the Black Body. Killing the Black Body. This is a book. It goes into the abortion movement, population control, the whole agenda against black women, how they want to control the bodies of black women. They want white women to have quadruplets and tridruplets or whatever, but they want to limit the number of babies that black women have. I encourage everybody to get a copy of this book. And here's another book. Here's another book called Medical Apartheid. Both of these books were written by black women. This book was written by Harriet Washington, called Medical Apartheid: The Dark History of Medical Experimentation from Colonial Times to the Present. Some of the things that you will read in this book about what they have done to the bodies of black women and black people in general are unbelievable. It will shock you and wake you up.
Yeah.
So, don't just take my word. Do your own documented research.
Yeah, maybe you could touch up on us a little bit about the Tuskegee experiment.
About the what?
The Tuskegee experiment.
Oh, the Tuskegee experiment is another government experiment that was conducted mainly against black males, and they used, just as the abortion movement and Planned Parenthood is using black women today. They'll take a black woman and take all the way up to the top and make her president And this is to trick and deceive millions of other black women, just like they do with that. Back in the days of the Tuskegee experiment, they used a black nurse.
Judas goats.
They used a black nurse in order to deceive these black men into thinking that they were being treated for syphilis when all the while they were an experiment. And one of the things that documented in this book, Medical Apartheid, you know, because people say, well, and this is true, that they didn't really inject the men in the Tuskegee experiment with syphilis. That's true. What they did, they experimented on them and let them die. Many of them died of the syphilis. But this book documents that there was another experiment that the government did, headed by the Rockefeller Foundation, in which they actually injected black men with the syphilis virus, the syphilis germ.
That's sick.
You understand? So this is the history. This is the history of America.
That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with.
That's what was that. Do you know if there was ever any civil lawsuits or anything like that filed behind those any one of those experiments?
Well, there was an uproar. There was a media uproar. In fact, there was a white man. There was a white physician, I believe, that the experiment didn't set well, and he was the first one to blow the whistle on it. You know, there's also been some overture. You know, President Clinton made some type of weak overture in terms of apology to the black men that was involved, but there's never really been any real justice to come out of what was done to all of those men in that experiment. But a thing that I would like to say, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, is don't believe that the experiments have stopped on black people. Don't believe it for 1 minute.
They got more high tech. They got more advanced with it.
Exactly.
So like I think one time I was in the doctor room with my baby mama while she was pregnant, and they came in like, hey, you want a free $100? All you gotta do is try this experiment where we hook the ultrasound up to your baby. We just want to analyze it. It's okay. Nothing can happen to your baby. Blah 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 blah. So I wasn't gonna do it anyway. But you know, some people who don't got no money, they probably take that $100. You know what I'm saying? But they came off super nice, like nothing can happen to your baby. So I had took the paper. I wasn't gonna do it anyways, but I started reading it just to read it while she gave me time to read it. And it said that your baby might can die, and it broke everything down. Whatever the experiment they was doing, it was dangerous to the baby, and they made you sign off on it. But the fact that they came in all nice and humble, and if you don't read it, you know what I'm saying, you can sign your soul away for $100.
Yeah. I've had a few encounters like that with the doctors. Like I had my daughter was born premature. Since we talking about the Roe versus Wade, my daughter was born at 23 weeks and 5 days, and one of them, she was developing a little bit slower, so they started offering all kind of different type of medications, and they wanted her to be on these breathing machines and stuff like that. So the doctors would come in like a doctor intimidation, using words that we haven't really understood before, and even almost making it seem like we have to do this or we have to do that. Like sometimes they won't. Yeah. A doctor won't even give you all the options. They won't. They're just like, well, it could either be you could die and do this, and that, or whatever. Or we're gonna give you this medication. But what me and my girl did, we try to sit back and go to get second opinions, do some little bit of research on it ourselves, just to create our own comfort zone. But we did end up doing that. She ended up developing faster, but that intimidation that they try to put on you with the doctors, you know what I mean, at first. And I'm the man of the family, right? So but I'm not up on game with some of these big words the doctor was using and trying to throw up at me. So I had to definitely recuperate, go back and talk to my fiance about how we was gonna handle that situation.
Yeah.
You know, I want to respond to a comment on the screen. Somebody, Jimmy Ross wrote, "Wow, your kind is the only race that has been put through a bunch of shit." LOL. Nope, don't think so. That's my only concern. Is black people. If you're white and you disagree with what I'm saying, then you take up you get on the bandwagon and take up the banner for your own people. But only people that's going to really fight and stand for black people is other black people. There's no other race of people on planet Earth that loves black people. We are being stomped on by the Japanese. Many of them are prejudiced against black people. We already know the history of the Europeans, whether you be Italian, French,
Absolutely,
whatever, British or whatever. Huh? The Chinese come in our community and they spit all over us and disrespect us. So don't expect me to get on this program, to get on this show, and take up the banner of any other race of people but my own. I'm a diehard black nationalist, and Malcolm defined the black nationalist as one who's concerned about the politics and economics of his own community. And I'm a Pan-Africanist, one who believes in the unity of black people and African people wherever we are on the globe. So you got a problem with that. That's your problem, not my problem.
You got to get yourself together before you can help anybody anyway.
That's absolutely correct,
so,
my brother.
Like,
I couldn't give a goddamn. I couldn't give a goddamn.
If you're a good-hearted person, though, you know what I'm saying? You could be on my team. If you're a good-hearted person, but at the end of the day, we got to get ourselves together before we can help anybody else.
Charity starts at home.
Absolutely.
And everybody on the planet shitting on black people. And he expects me to come on this show and be concerned about other people. Even the Indians, this documented fact that the Indians in this country had black slaves. So don't tell me nothing about caring for another race of people.
Yeah. Don't let them distract you though, because they could be a bot from the government, anything. You don't know who's real when it comes to these comments. Like, so when we drop some real stuff, you know what I'm saying? If it ain't nothing positive, we can't really, but that needed to be hit, you know what I'm saying? But if it ain't nothing positive, we go ahead and because it could be anything, you know, just to throw us off. Well, we was probably finna say something that they ain't want us to say, and then bam, they hit us with now a race war going on. You know, that's one thing we don't want. As we need to keep this shit positive, keep it going. You know what I'm saying, for the right direction, and let people know that black people ain't just, you know, we just been through it. We've been through it, so you can see it. But at the end of the day, we need to put an end to this, and we can't help everybody else once we get ourselves together. Because you gotta think about it. We getting pulled from left, right, up and down, but we still competing. Imagine if we ain't had that going on, how strong we can be.
That's right. That's right.
Well, while our culture is being raped at the same time, right? People love to say black people this, black people that, this, and that. But we got the culture of America. We are the American culture, and people is vultures all through in and out it and trying to take from what we done created. So it's we have a right to speak out and voice ourselves how we accordingly.
We should do it fearless. And Malcolm, one of the things that Malcolm used to say, Malcolm X used to say, don't ever let any white person get up in your face referring to you as a reverse racist. Malcolm said, ain't no such animal. You don't see black men. When white people happen to move in the black neighborhood, you don't see no black people getting no wooden black power fist and burning it on the lawns of white people. You don't see black policemen shooting down white teenagers the same way white police shoot down young black males. So don't come to me with that crap about we are reverse racists for standing up for our own people. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, but black people are under attack from multiple ways. A lot of people ain't gonna be able to see that unless you are black, and we could just tell y'all. But y'all, if it ain't your foot getting stepped on, you ain't gonna feel it.
That's right.
Yeah, because they volunteer. Because I want to say it like that, but a lot of people volunteer, like hip hop drill music or something like that, right? Like some people are subjected to that too. You know what I mean? But for the most part, that's for young black men. That's the demise of young black men. Like other people invite themselves into the culture's trouble. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so everybody want to be a nigga, but nobody want to be a nigga. So that's how I feel about that situation.
You know what? Let me say something about this music, man. We have to understand how music is being used as a mind control weapon against the black race, man.
Definitely.
You know, there's a documentary that I encourage all black people to see. It's a documentary. The name of it is Amandla. That's Amandla. Amandla. And it's a documentary about how the music and the song of South Africa was used to motivate the people to stand up against the black militants, to stand up against the racist apartheid system of South Africa, which led to the destruction of the racist system as ruled by white people there. We have to understand that there's certain types of music that the government does not want black people to listen to. You will never hear that. There's a record that Bob Marley made called War. You will never hear that on the mainstream radio because they know that music carries a certain vibration. Music carries a vibration that can tap into our melanin and actually wake us up. So it's certain types of music that they prevent from coming on the radio, and there's certain types of music that they promote to come on the radio that is to amp up the negative and the self-destructive capabilities and
Absolutely.
nature of the human being. And that's being done today with that, what y'all call the drill music, rap music, which I call crap music, most of it. You understand? It's totally different from what it was when I first started listening to rap back in the 90s, when you had positive groups like Public Enemy, KRS-One, later on Dead Prayers, and other groups like that had a positive meaning, a positive message in their music that was designed to wake up the consciousness of black people. You understand what I'm saying? So
when do you think the time came? When do you think the time came where rap switched from self-empowerment to self-destruction?
Well, it happened after the 90s, in the 2000s. You understand? Because it was a government program. There is actually, in fact, there's a documentary on this. There's actually a government COINTELPRO against rap. So when they realized the consciousness was being infused inside of our people, especially the youth, they came up with a counter conspiracy, and that was to promote gangster rap. To bring about the destruction of our youth. Let me read you something. Again, I try not to say anything unless I can document it with clear evidence. Let me read you something from the COINTELPRO papers, which is the FBI document on which they targeted Dr. King, Malcolm X, the Black Panther, and other groups. They said, let us prevent the rise of a Messiah who could unify and electrify the militant Black nationalist movement, that Malcolm X may have been such a Messiah. He is the model of the movement today. They go on to say that they must prevent violence on the part of the Black nationalist group. That means against the white establishment. But they go on to say, listen to this. This is the important part of this document. They say a final goal should be to prevent the long-range growth of militant Black nationalist organizations, especially amongst the youth. Now, how do we think that they would accomplish that? They would accomplish that by putting illegal guns in the community. They would have accomplished that by pushing dope in the Black community to create the gang wars against each other. They would accomplish that by pushing negative music, which fed the minds of our youth self-destructive and negative ideas and disunity, turning them against each other. We have to understand the plan that's going on. We have to understand the agenda that's going on to take the Black man out of his original nature. And to counter that, my brother, we have to understand the original nature that God put the Black man in. God made the Black man to be what the Quran says is the Khalifa. That's the crown of the creation, where the Black man is a strong man, motivated by his intelligence and his spirituality. But what did slavery do? Slavery made us into animals. Slavery made the Black man only judge himself by his muscles or how long, he was swinging his penis. But if that was the case, a gorilla would be more of a man than many of us.
I was going to say, I got the unknown rebel up in here too.
Yeah, I got a question I want to get to. Can y'all hear me?
Yep, we hear you.
Y'all just touched on it as I was calling in. You kind of was touching on it with the drill culture. Okay, so these these brothers, like in Chicago, you already know the drill culture. You got the BDs in the GD fashion. They gunning each other down, keeping score like a video game. I want you to touch on that. And I'm also thinking with the dead bodies just dropping. Is it another agenda behind that, like body parts? They you know, a lot of money on these strong young brothers, you know, with their body parts.
Absolutely.
But they set in motion. They set in motion a program where they don't have to say it anymore. They set it in motion now. Brothers is going around killing each other and keeping score of knocking each other off. I mean, this is insane to me. Can you speak on that?
Well, you know, I mentioned to you, Unknown Rebel, the other night that there were two movies that came out recently. One movie, these are underground, you know, type ghetto type movies. One movie is about a drug that they would put amongst black people that would make us specifically turn against and hate on each other and kill each other off. And the other movie is starring the brother, you know, he's an old head in the black movie industry. Clifton Powell got a new movie out about how the gangs are being used to kill people in their own community to feed the underground, the illegal underground body parts movement. You understand?
Those are Manchurian candidates also. Some of them unknowingly.
You could call them Manchurian candidates, man.
Manchurian
but this
candidates,
it sounds like it when you look at movies like this, it sounds like it's something out of science fiction script, man. But when you look at reality, you understand? We can surmise that some of this stuff is really going on today, man.
Oh, we see it.
And my thing is, you know, is to help as many of our brothers and sisters, you know, wake up to consciousness so that we can break out of this cycle of death and destruction that this man has put on our people, man. This is a very serious time. And let me say this here, man. Let me say this. Let me throw a little spiritual thing up in here to these brothers that's on this murder thing with each other, man. We have to understand, man, that life has a meaning and a purpose. This is really important about what I'm about to say, man, to these black brothers, man. You have to understand, man, that you don't get away with nothing that you do evil and corrupt in this world, man. When you look, let me explain something to you, brothers, man. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you don't see your real self, man. You are only looking at the mirror at the material self, the flesh, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, the legs, etc., etc. But you don't see your real self. The real self of the black man and every human being on this planet is on the inside. What am I saying all this to say? I'm saying this, that when you go around killing and murdering your own people, killing little babies, killing little children, don't think that that's the end of it. Don't think just because you never go to jail, don't think just because you are never incarcerated that you're going to escape judgment and punishment for that. Because when you die and your body goes into the grave, the soul or the spirit of the human being must go into the next dimension. Some call it the astral world. Some call it another dimension. And everything that you did that was evil to another human being, you are going to have to account for that. So you brothers pulling the trigger on each other that think that you're going to escape judgment for that, you are sadly mistaken. You're going to see the evil that you do on this side, in this world, you are going to see in the next dimension.
And that's what makes it sad. That's what makes this deeper than just a race war. Honestly, that's kind of what makes this a spiritual war. It is a spiritual war. These brothers is being misguided, being buffooned, being whatever to ride and die for the hood, to shed blood for something that's not even theirs. And it's guiding your spirit. This is a spiritual war for our brothers out here.
Spiritual warfare, my brother.
I want to get into that. I want to ask you this. So now it's two bloggers I saw came out of the BD and GD fashion with this waters out here. I think one guy named is Jay Hood. He was from O Block, and the other brother is King Yeller. He was FBG Duck and all of them. So they both sick and tired and see the demonic spirit is going on. So they got out wherever they at, and they started making the podcast changing. I'm talking about they was out here in it. So they start changing, talking good, talking positive, trying to bring it together.
Right.
One industry rapper, Lil Durk, is like he's still trying to keep stuff going, and like he done lost people too. But it's like blood sacrifice is what I want to talk about. Blood sacrifice and people who took the oath. The got agenda don't give a damn about the black community. Like it seemed like some people keeping stuff going like they was promised something in this life, and they don't give a damn about nothing. Cause you speak on, you see what I'm saying? These brothers was coming together trying to change and change the direction of this, and here this one, they got this one guy doing this to keep it going, or they have a blogger come in. It was another blogger I heard talking about King Yella and them caught one of the other guys, I think some 600 or whatever, 600 Breezy in the mall. This is old, and those brothers, they didn't do nothing. So they argued, they approached them, they didn't do nothing. Other people and bloggers called them bitches because they didn't see two black men rip them apart and be a real nigga and kill them.
They ain't entertain them in the right way.
Yeah, they thought they was worried about is monetizing.
Wait, check it out. So they wasn't real because they didn't whoop them. They gave them a pass and let it go too. They let it go. They wanted to see the brothers rip the skin off of him, and because they do it, they've been called they ain't real. You ain't a real nigga. You sit down when you pee. You a bitch. What speak to that, man?
Well, what's a real nigga, man? What's a real black man? Again, we have to redefine ourselves, man, because this white man made us beasts of burden where we act and behave in an animalistic manner, man. We don't behave it. We don't. Well, niggas is manufactured, man. Just like they do shoes in a shoe factory.
So those guys are real niggas. They are because they was made. But a real man,
a nigga, in my opinion, let me give I created an acronym for the word nigga. The nigga is a negative, ignorant, greedy, crafty, envious rat.
That's right.
You understand? Who does everything he can to hold down, to hinder the growth of his people. You understand what I'm talking about?
Absolutely,
so we have to redefine what it means to be a black man. You understand? The brother that I met at 19 years of age that took me up to his room and just began to open up books on my history, on our history, he demonstrated to me what real manhood was.
Right.
As I was saying earlier, the brothers in these gangs, they have to redefine what black manhood is because they think it means, how much muscle you got, whether you got a weapon in your hand and can intimidate, that's not real manhood.
They don't know. They don't know, and that's why you hear they think a real man is a real nigga. That's what they think a real man is. Nigga.
That's what I'm saying. We have to have brothers like us. We have to have brothers like us on this podcast.
This nothing
to totally redefine the image of what being a real black man is about.
Right.
There's another thing I want to get into with the OGs.
With me, I was when I was more so interested into pursuing the music. That's all my brain was developed on. The only thing I was focused on was rap. How can I make the next song? Living the whole lifestyle, everything with it. As soon as I put that stuff, soon as I put that to the side, to the back burner, I started learning about real estate, learning about cryptocurrency, learning about finances, taking care of family, handling business as a man. So if we can get to these younger brothers at a younger age and make that look just as appealing as the artists do, because he really ain't got it like that anyway. These artists ain't owning no properties, ain't doing nothing, just doing a whole bunch of this. Yeah, definitely. So,
go ahead, Chase.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want the OGs to get into, because right now it's cool to be a savage, it's cool to be a thug, but back in the days when y'all was growing up, can you get a female like that? Nope. have we been manipulated to think what's cool? Like, how was it back then? Like, you had to be was
coming up. When I was coming up, Salim was older than me, but when I was coming up, they was not talking to thugs. If you wasn't coming into certain parties, you was looked at as bad. But some kind of way, whatever they mechanisms and technology, they have reversed what is sick and wicked and made that what everybody to reach towards it. So that they flipped it around. So
They
now
did it.
they got these people up here that's being thugs, looking successful, looking like their life is great, looking like they got women in cars. But them ain't nothing but the executives who own the record label people houses and cars. Some of them got little stuff, but that's all fake. So that got these young brothers thinking, because they see that fake illusion, that's what a real nigga, I'm gonna do that. But they getting sent to the penitentiary and they getting sent to the morgue chasing that lie. Not only that, those dead bodies, they're taking the body parts. They making you probably worth 500,000 at least.
40 million, I heard.
Probably, yeah.
The black man
melanin is worth millions.
Broken down from the stem cells.
They said melanin was like what, $500 a gram or something like that.
Melanin is worth hundreds of thousands.
So are some of these rappers getting a reward for keeping this lifestyle and this stupidity going? Do you think some of them that took an oath is getting rewarded for letting all our people get killed and slaughtered?
It's no doubt about it. That's a satanic influence in what we see happening today. And they successfully have been able to use movies. You know, anytime you turn on the television, you see a television program like Empire or Power. What are they promoting? Huh?
Yeah,
they're promoting the negative image of the black man. All this is by intent. They have enlisted, you know, individuals, you know, like 50 Cent produced
I hear some wind.
Okay, hold on. Let me get out. Let me speak. Hold on. Go ahead.
They use individuals like 50 Cent to produce television shows like Power. But meanwhile, who is really behind 50 Cent, giving him the influence to produce shows like that? It's the very enemy that want to see us divided.
And what's up with Power too? Like they got everybody turning on each other. Father, you know, son killed the dad, and everybody turning on each other in Power. Like that's like the thing to do. Like
that's right, and it's reflected in our real life circumstances
right now. They making betrayal is being promoted right now as far as backdoor and betrayal is a big thing. I'm noticing.
What it say in the Bible? And at the end of time, they said who gonna turn on who?
It's impossible to think that these movies and the music that they put out don't influence people to think the same way. You know, that's what the whole intent of the movie industry. There was a sister that did a lecture some years ago called Media Mind Control, and she broke down what is the meaning of the word media. The word media, when you go into Greek mythology, the word media gets its name from a Greek sorceress whose name was Medea. You understand? And she said in that lecture that the purpose of the media was to use magic and sorcery on the minds of black people. Jordan Maxwell broke down the meaning of Hollywood. Why did they call it Hollywood? Because Hollywood is that's the tree that they make the magic wand of Merlin from. So it's a place of media and movies where they perform sorcery on the minds of our people.
Yeah,
attacking the subconscious.
That's right. Going into your subconscious and your subliminal mind and all of that. They're manipulating us in all kind of ways into their devilry.
And don't even talk about the food and the chemicals that's in our clothes. Like they coming left and right. They coming all types.
That's a whole nother story. If they can't get you one way, they get black people another way. If they can't lock you up in jail, if they if they can't get you hooked or addicted to drugs, they come at you through the food. Do y'all know that they have shown that a lot of the food that people eat, I mean, they have actually done studies on this, saying that a lot of people that ended up in the penitentiary, it had something to do with their diet.
Well, you can see commercials tell you that. Commercials tell you that with medication. It tells you the side effects can make you suicidal thoughts. So you know they putting stuff that can alter your mind and make it thinking.
You got in the black community today, if you go at a lot of these in a lot of these corner grocery stores that are around the public schools and look at some of the ingredients, they have a certain chemical that they put in the potato chips called MSG, which stands for monosodium glutamate.
Yeah.
And then you look up, I have a book in my library called Consumer Ingredients that break down the scientific effects of all these different chemicals that they put in the food. And monosodium glutamate is one of the chemicals that destroys brain cells. And then we wonder why our children in these black schools have learning deficiencies.
Yeah, like hot Cheetos and all those type of stuff. Let me ask you a question. It's only a few people in the religious organizations that's speaking, but why ain't the mainstream churches and stuff like that even talking about this? Is what stuff people need to know. All they doing is talking about going to heaven. They ain't talking about none of this stuff that people need to know to watch out. None of this. Why is that, you think?
A compromise.
Well, because organized religion has been dumbed down. See, you have two types. Let me say this here. Let me respond to that. You have two types of religion. You have a revolutionary religion of Khalid Muhammad or Malcolm X or Nat Turner. Nat Turner read the Bible and it motivated him to cut the slave master's head off. But then you got the slave type religion that's practiced by certain Christians and Muslims and Jews and whatnot that make them slaves to the system. You understand what I'm talking about? Have you bound down before white Jesus and all this here. You have Muslims believing the Prophet Muhammad was a white Arab and all this here. These type of religious systems are designed to dumb down the masses.
Did they sign something? Did they sign something with the government? What's that bill?
Some of them have. You have many government agents up in the churches and up in the mosques.
They don't pay taxes either, so they got.
That's what I was about that. What is that thing about them not paying taxes? That's 5013 something. What is that? Where they signed, the churches signed where they ain't got to pay no taxes. It's a something.
501c3.
Yeah.
Does that include every religion, or is that only like Abrahamic religions, like the Church of Scientology? They don't pay taxes either.
Well, I believe that applies to all religions, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you talk about certain things, we can take that money and we can shut you down. It's like a pact you made with them.
Yeah. But there's no ifs, ands, and buts that, organized religion, along with the school system, which is designed to dumb our youth down, and others, the media, etc. All that's designed basically against the minds of black people.
Would you say this, that organized religion is one of the number one enemies that we had, that they used against us? Because if you can control somebody's mind, if you can control their mind, their spirituality, man.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we were given a Eurocentric, watered down version of God.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what black people sitting in church, with white image of a peckerwood image of a Jesus. What is this doing to the subliminal consciousness of a black child growing up in that church, man? It's
making you feel inferior.
him into believing in the white superiority.
Who your savior is, the white man.
Yeah. So every church, every religion in the black community need to get rid of any religion that does not make you stand up for black self-determination.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. What do you think about these religions that got people waiting for God or Jesus to come down to take care of all this mess down here? Religion don't have you do things yourself. You sit around waiting. I ain't got to do nothing. I'm saved. I can just sit back and wait. You know what I'm saying? What do you say to that, man?
Well, I believe the type of religion I'm a Malcolmite. I believe in the religion. The religion that I believe in says this in the scripture that I read: man's fate is fastened around his own neck. And it says that the devil has no power over you except for what you give him. The evil things that our people are doing is because they gave their mind over to do. They didn't have to submit. You understand?
Yeah.
Right. They voluntarily gave their will over to corruption and evil. That's why we see our community existing as this. Is no frying sauce. It ain't no Jesus coming down out the sky, or no flying saucer, as some religions teach, coming out the sky to save black people. Black people have to stand up to save their own ass.
It probably will be a flying saucer, but that's gonna be government.
Yeah. So what do you think is some of the steps that could be took immediately to start coming up with like some type of resolution or overturning this scenario?
The truth, telling these people what's really going on, like with the music industry, how these artists are sold. They sold to these people, sold us all out for their agenda. They really ain't. They trying to get us to kill each other. So people need to know what's really going on, so they can stop looking at each other as ops. We can start loving one another. Find out we ain't each other enemy. You know what I'm saying? It's just the truth. We got a certain type of truth, not basic truth. Get into the science of what's been going on, what's been happening.
Well, let me add to that. We agreed that we're in a spiritual warfare.
For
so
sure.
I'm going to answer that question by saying we also need to deal with some type of spirituality and morality and some form of prayer and meditation, get ourselves up out of this condition. And why am I saying that? I'm saying that because we are not just physical human beings. Black people have to understand this. We are not just physical human beings. As I pointed out earlier, when you look at yourself in the mirror, you don't see your real self. There's a soul or spirit on the inside that motivates you and animates you. That's why when you point at the body in the morgue, they say, oh, John passed away yesterday. The body is laying up there in the morgue, but the real human being, spirit of the human being, that passed on to the higher realm. So I'm saying to Black people who are listening to this program that we have to develop the higher moral, spiritual self of our great African ancestors. Malcolm had that spirit. Dr. King had that spirit. Harriet Tubman had that same spirit. Until we come into understanding the importance of developing the same spirit that our great African ancestors had, we're going to continue to stay in the same dead situation, fighting, killing, being divided against each other, hating on each other, just like the beasts want us to do.
Yeah.
We can't ignore that. We can't. We have to have some higher moral spirit. What was it that made Malcolm the man that he became? Because when Malcolm came out the penitentiary, he didn't look back on the criminal lifestyle. Malcolm developed a love for his race. Malcolm developed high moral. You couldn't get Malcolm to touch the white man, drugs, or alcohol. Malcolm totally threw away and out the window everything that he was doing that was self-destructive to himself and his own people. And I'm saying that if for us as Black men to take it to a higher level, we have to do the same thing that Malcolm did. You don't have to be a Muslim. You don't have to be let me say this here. You don't have to be a Muslim. You don't have to be a Christian. What I'm saying is that we have to take our morals and our spirit, develop the spiritual self of the Black man, because we were created by Almighty God to be the Khalifa. The Quran used the word Khalifa, meaning that we are the crown of creation. The Black man was created to be responsible, to be a father, to be a husband, to be a provider, to be a protector. And nothing outside of that, those roles is more important than that. It's not being a pimp, a hustler, a dope pusher. You understand? These are false ideas that we have been fed to take us up off our square.
I was just about to say that. I said, how do we lose our morals? It was a program in slavery for 400 years that stripped us from our real ancient stories and our real spiritual beliefs.
But we can break the mental shackles once we inform ourselves, educate ourselves. The Black man has got to open up his mind. These brothers that's involved in the gangbang, you mentioned a couple of them that got on a positive level. That's because they opened their mind up. The Creator is not going to feed you truth. He's not going to wake you up until you first open your mind up. And this is what Black men all across this country, all across the globe, have to start doing, because the same negative thing that's happening here is happening around the globe with Black people.
Yeah.
This white supremacy programming is in effect everywhere. But until we as black men understand the need to develop ourselves on a higher level, our inner self, the real person that's on the inside, and understand our responsibility to our ancestors, to our race, to our people, we're not going to get up out of this hole, man.
Yeah, dealing with something you just said with that, there's some people that came out of the prisons that somebody gave them a little knowledge and they became a knowledge pimp. They might have got knowledge from you and Bobby Hemmett, Dr. York, Steve Coakley, all those people. But a lot of the people now don't know nothing about them. They'll come out here like it's their information, saying all this wisdom, tricking people, people paying for their university, and they give, you know what I'm saying? We got to watch out for that. They got to be called out too, because they polluting the real movement. They diluting it and confusing people, man. But that's done on purpose, because you got some people doing it because of monetary gain only. They see his money in it.
Very important point. Good point, unknown rebel. Because another thing that they contributed that's destructive is all this these conscious battles and debates and hating on each other. They doing organizational gangbanging, man. To the detriment of the black community. And I believe that some of these niggas ain't nothing, excuse me for using that word, but again, when I say it, I mean a negative, ignorant, greedy, grafting, envious rat. Some of them, I believe, are conscious agents for the government, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe that as well.
What about you know about this YouTuber Charleston White?
Yeah, I'm familiar with him.
Yeah, I've been checking him out. He was saying a lot of real stuff. I was checking him out, but then all of a sudden he started going against what he was talking about, acting like these young people, going against them, talking about fuck your dead home, and then he turn around and try to say he's doing something good. See, that type of stuff there, man, it's confusing to people.
You know,
somebody who's trying to get into knowledge, and then they see that, they say, oh man, that ain't no different, man. I'm just gonna do what I do. That's dangerous.
You know, I personally believe that Charleston White is a good brother at heart. I think based on what I've learned of him, he's done a whole lot of good things in the black community for a lot of people. But at the same time, I think that he could be a little bit more diplomatic, and he would disagree with me. He would go against what I'm saying, you know, because he's his own man. But I think that if he was a little bit more diplomatic with the things that he said, and he speaks a lot of truth, I think that it would reach a lot more people and go a much further way in the effort to unify and uplift the community.
Everybody that look like us ain't us. And you know they're gonna come in the truth, but then they're gonna you can tell how they fake when they start derailing you off into some bullshit. So we gotta call it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? I didn't, like I said, I talked to you before about the movie Bait, people in the penitentiary, and how they can get somebody in the penitentiary and upload them with all type of technology. That nigga did take his eyeball out before. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, I'm just saying. But they really got people out here that's you know, wired up and like a weapon, and they push a button or whatever, and then they start doing this stupid stuff. Yeah. That needs to be talked about, man, because people might think that's far-fetched, but you know, this is because you see somebody black, that don't mean that they're even a person, though. I'm not saying he is, but I'm just saying a lot of people out here are weaponized.
Well, let me say this here. When you want to watch a movie on TV, do you have to get up off the sofa in order to turn the TV on?
No, you remote control.
You got remote control. Well, you don't have white people that have to physically come among us. You know, you got white people, they can stay off of this and push buttons and manipulate Negro behavior.
Right, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Now, how they able to do that? How is they got programs set out here or in the penitentiary where these people that's going out of jail that they're putting technology in? Is it food and stuff that we're being hit with? Were they able to hack into our bodies?
Unknown Rebel, I have a book in my library. I didn't bring it with me this evening, but I have a book in my library about certain government experiments that they have conducted, where they can actually drop certain chemicals in the water supply that would manipulate people's behavior without them even knowing that it's being manipulated and exploited.
Yeah, a lot of lead. I seen that, a lot of lead in the water. A lot of neighborhoods that had high crime rates, violent crime rates,
Yes.
They had the most lead in their waters. And that was something I had learned not even too long ago, a few months ago.
And it was no accident that they had that crisis with the water in Flint, Michigan some years ago. That was a government experiment. That was a government experiment. So they are doing many things. They producing Manchurian candidates in our community. They are making people violent through the food and the water that we drink. You understand? They're purposely, infiltrating the drugs in the gun because they know the black people, they ain't gonna shoot white people with it. They gonna take it and they gonna use it to destroy their own kind.
To me, it almost looks like it's like I don't want to kill you. I want to break your immune system first or something like that. I want to weaken you. Yeah. I want to weaken you, not necessarily just kill you.
Real quick, another thing you just touching on about them putting this and that in the water and the food. They also, I know this is a big agenda with the homosexual community, but even a lot of homosexuals was literally turned into them. You know what I'm saying? With some of the chemicals and stuff.
Well, let me say this on that. There was a black scientist some years ago by the name of what's that brother's name? It was just on the tip of my tongue. He did a documentary called Flow. Look it up on the internet, named Flow. Brother Tyrone Hayes is his name. And he was in this documentary where he exposed that they were putting a chemical called atrazine in the water supply, and it showed that the atrazine was causing male frogs to be effeminized and fish to be effeminized to the point that the male fish wanted to have sex with other male fishing frogs. Wow. Also some years ago, and this is documented, the government, the U.S. military, did a scientific experiment where they came in which they came up with a chemical that, if sprayed in the vicinity of men, it would automatically motivate those men to want to have sexual relations with each other. And they had created this. They had created this as a military weapon to be used against other nations in the time of warfare.
That sounds crazy. They have
something called the gay bomb. They have something called the gay bomb.
I'm talking about the gay bomb. I'm talking about the gay bomb. So now, if we have been in war for 400 years, and we have, don't you think that they would use all kind of tactics, to effeminize black men so that black women and children would not have providers and protectors? Mm-hmm. In the story in the Bible, I have to go back to the Bible now. In the story of Pharaoh, it's just a story, but there's a lesson in it. Pharaoh killed all the male children and left all the females for himself. That story is being played out in the new Babylon, the new Egypt, today, here in the hells of North America against black men. They are feminizing black men. They're making it difficult for us to find employment so that we could be forced to turn to the criminal lifestyle and sell drugs, so that we can destroy our own self and kind. This is what's going on. When you read stories in the Bible and the Quran, a lot of that stuff is symbolic of what's going on to us today.
Yeah. Go ahead, Beretta.
Absolutely. No, I'm just listening. I'm listening to OG right now. Man. Black poverty. What you think about what's the same agenda that they've been having? I know with me and my family, what motivated me to be a dad is seeing how the agenda just to split up the black household, split up the black families, how they want the woman to be on welfare and be catered to and stuff like that.
Can I interject something on my brother real quick? You brought up black father. Yeah. That's the most important role that a black man could ever be, brother, is a black father. Absolutely. But in order to come to that understanding, let me just digress for a minute, because I have to say something based on morality. Because we can talk about government conspiracies all day and stuff like that, but we also have to get to the point where we can dialogue with our fellow black brothers of what it means to be a man, because understanding what it means to be a real man is part and parcel of helping us to come up out of this self-destructive syndrome where we're fighting and killing each other.
Yeah,
that's right.
Let me explain something. You know why many of us as black men do the thing? Because I did some dumb shit when I was a young man too. You understand what I'm talking about? And it took me a while to grow into real manhood. But you know, the problem with a lot of black men, the problem with a lot of the young gangbangers is because they have never been given the real definition of what it means to be a man. Now, let me break that down. What is man? The word man is an ancient word that goes all the way back to ancient Africa and Kemet. And in the above the monuments in the Great Pyramids, they used to write, "Man, know thyself." But they just didn't write the word. The ancient people of Africa word man mean. What does the word man mean? M-A-N. The word man, actually, this is the literal meaning of the word. Take note. The actual meaning of the word man means mind. M-I-N-D. That's the actual meaning of the word. And most of our brothers in the black ghetto, they have never been taught that. They have never been taught that you define a man by his intelligence, his wisdom, his knowledge. And this is why you see the famous picture of Brother Malcolm X with his finger pointing at his cranium, because Malcolm is giving us the same message that black man, your greatest weapon is not the Tech 9 or 357 Magnum. The greatest weapon that you could ever have, black man, is your mind.
Which we're destroying left and right nowadays, and that's cool to do.
Exactly. So until we begin to understand that the black man was created by the Almighty Creator to be the Khalifa, the crown of creation, and to be a mind inside of his physical body, ruling and dominating not just his physical body, but the physical earth. Until we come into that true understanding, we're going to still continue walk around with our heads cut off like a cut off head chicken, not knowing who we are or where we going.
Have you noticed something that in the drill culture, majority of these guys who are out here wilding out drilling, they daddies ain't around, their daddies was locked up, so they was raised by a single mama, and that man wasn't there. You notice that?
Yeah.
Right.
I say 90% of them, their daddies wasn't around, so they look what they got off into, and look how they think.
And that's why we have to break the cycle.
Back to the Malcolm X situation. Him meeting the Honorable Elijah Muhammad benefit him in certain ways. In the beginning, I don't know how the relationship ended up coming later on, but I know in the beginning, having that father figure like around him, teaching him the basics of becoming what he was to become is real detrimental. That's why I would love to play a role like that in society today to talk to younger black dudes, because right now most of these young dudes is influenced by
you have a son. You have a son, my brother.
I got one son.
Well, that's where you started. You started with your son, and then you expanded out when other opportunities come to you. But that's your greatest role, brother, being a father to the son that you brought into world, and teaching him and helping him to develop into the great mind that the Almighty Creator intended for him to be one day. You see, Absolutely. This is what black men have to understand. We have to get out of that cycle of thinking that we're just physical human beings. I know that sounds kind of metaphysical, but we are beyond. We are actually beyond that. We are more than just the flesh being the muscles, the eyes, the nose, the legs, the arms. You know, like I said earlier, we're mental and spiritual beings. There are three aspects to the human being. There's the physical, the mental, and the physical. In Freemasonry, it's symbolized by the master mason, inner apprentice, and the inner apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason. In the Quran, it's in Arabic, the Nasamara, Naslawama, and Nasmudmana, which is the highest level of the human being that the human being reached when he developed his spiritual self. And that's what Brother Malcolm did. When he developed his spiritual self, then he became the highest being that he could ever be, and an example for all of us. You understand?
Absolutely.
Malcolm demonstrated to us that we can transform from caterpillar to butterfly. You understand what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
You sound like
All
you're
of
dealing
us.
with. You sound like you're dealing with the chakra center, and why all of us is operating on our lower chakras below the waist.
That's what's going on. That's what's going on. They create an environment for the black man and woman where we're living on a beastly animal level. Oh, that's the same level that the Caucasian beast used to be on before we took him up out the caves of Europe and civilized him. He done reversed everything.
Yep. Y'all got another question? Anybody in the audience? How many people we got looking?
It don't show it on here. I gotta figure that out.
Anyway, it don't matter. Ain't nobody asking no question. Go ahead. Hey Salim, do you wanna just out the blue add something that you think is important while they get their questions together that you think need to be added to this?
Well, I would add the importance of developing our mind through study, reading, research. You know, when Malcolm was in the penitentiary, he woke up after first learning the dictionary and reading every book in the prison library. We have to get our people out of the syndrome of thinking that it's nerdish or you square because you want to learn, because you want to read, because you want to be intelligent, because you want to be smart or academic. You understand what I'm talking about? You know, here was Brother Malcolm. He only went to 8th grade education. Elijah Muhammad himself only went to the 3rd grade education, but they still took time. You know, all of our great leaders, Marcus Garvey, Frederick Douglass. What happened to Frederick Douglass? Frederick Douglass was caught reading and got into it with the slave master, beat his ass, you know, and become a great intellect because of his reading ability. So we have to get the young black brothers and sisters to understand the importance of knowledge, the importance of wisdom. Because doing that, you know, will take us into, you know, realms of knowledge and research, you know, that will help us to develop ourselves as better human beings, physically, mentally, and spiritually. It's nothing square about opening up a book.
You know what? I challenge these two young brothers that's hosting this show to get together and come up with a rap record where you dropping all this stuff where you can make the young people, because everybody say, well, everybody want to hear that negative stuff. I think that if you know how to rap, you can still talk that same stuff, but you can reverse it in a whole nother way. But I challenge y'all to come up with a song, man, that we can shake the world with, and then we'll premiere, man, you know, and let people see a different. You can still drill, but drill your enemy, drill your real enemy.
That's right.
Talk about drilling your real enemy, not your own brother.
That's right.
That's real. That's right. Drilling the oppression. I like that.
That's right.
You know, and another point that I would make in waiting on the next question is black people have to have ideology. Most of us, we're walking around without any ideology in our head. See, the enemy has ideology. White people have ideology. And their ideology is this. They know that they must rule. They don't give a damn whether they be Republican, Democrat, Jehovah's Witness, Christian, this, that. They understand that their ideology is that they must rule black people. And I'm saying, Brother Salim is saying, is that we must have the ideology. Let's just start out with what Malcolm said, identified as black nationalism. What does black nationalism mean? Black nationalism means that black people must control the politics and economics of their own community in the same way that other races do. When I was in Africa, when I was in Gambia, West Africa recently, everywhere I went, that in the African market, it was only Africans, black people, that was controlling that market. They didn't have no Koreans there. They didn't have no Jews there. They didn't have whites in that African market that I went to. It was only being dominated by black people.
Did you see any women walking at night by themselves, not being in fear?
I saw women walking in the street late at night, and they wasn't no hoes now. These were decent, respectable women walking the street at 11 o'clock, sometime through dark alleys, and wasn't nobody disrespecting them. As I said earlier, I did not see in Gambia, West Africa, a liquor store on every corner in their community. So that lets me know when I get back here and I see all of that, that this is strategically planned against us.
What you think is with the blacks in America? Is something special about us while we being totally attacked like this over the whole world? Is something special about out of all of the black
You gotta think about it. The white people, they ain't stupid. So if they was gonna get some slaves, you don't think they get the best they can get, the strongest people they can get. So we bred from that. We can't
look at what happened.
Maybe something with the
We're
melanin.
still here. That we went through 3 months of being brought over here on the slave ship. At the bottom of the slave ship was spit, vomit, rat. In my book on slavery that I wrote, Slavery, Reparations, and White Supremacy, I documented on there that in the bottom of the slave ship, the rats, they had big ship rats that would bite out the eyeballs and the tongue of our ancestors. Our people laid in vomit and shit for months on time. Don't you think that we are genetically programmed to survive? Don't you think that the Creator put something special in us when he gave us melanin? Why do you think that, no, we're not an ordinary race of people? Why do you think that everything that black people go into, if it's football, we become the best runners? Huh? In basketball, we dominate basketball. You never had white players like Michael Jordan.
Yeah, and
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
You can't take away all the black inventions either. Like, you know what I'm saying? All the black inventions.
Look at what George Washington Carver, the peanut farmer, did with the peanut. All
way more than that
he created. And Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, in her book, The ISIS Paper, and in the lecture she said that Dr. Carver's melanin was so high in vibration that when he went out into the field, the plants communicated with him and told him exactly what they're good for. No, it's something special about this black man and woman. When you look at our female, look at the body of, don't know other women on the planet have no body like this black woman.
Without surgery, huh?
You understand? So, no, it's God, Almighty God, no matter what name you call him by, Allah, Jehovah, the creator, the universe, or whatever, he put something special in this black race. And they know about it because they study our melanin.
So you think we groomed to become something?
For success. We're groomed for success.
Be the rulers of the planet.
Here's what's going on. We are groomed for success. We're genetically programmed to be successful, but the white man has studied the genetic makeup of the black man and woman, and everything that he is doing is designed to counter,
to leech,
to counter and destroy this success that the Creator has programmed us.
They also leeching.
Are you familiar with Paul Guthrie? I think he has a book out there called "The Making of
the White Man." Yeah, I'm familiar with it. That's in my library.
I haven't read that book before, but I'm familiar with the title of it because one of my elders was always touched up on it with me. Can you share some of that book, The Making of the White Man?
Well, I'm basically familiar with the book from the standpoint of view that I know that the book is based upon the Yakub theory of the making of the white man, which now don't get me wrong now, I'm not saying there's not any truth in the book, but historically speaking, I don't subscribe to Yakub theory of making the white man. I believe that the Creator made the black man first.
Yeah.
And evolutionary wise, all the other races that we see on the planet came out of us, but I don't believe that some big-headed scientist in a laboratory was responsible for making it. God, the only race that God made directly, and it was free to disagree with me, the only race that God made directly was the black man. The Quran said that Almighty God, Allah, created original man from black mud molded into shape. That happened in Africa. You understand what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
Let me just finish this response. And what happened was our ancestors, they traveled up into the different climates. You understand? The first people were melanated, but those melanated people traveled into other land, and because of the climatic factor, that is what caused the other races to lighten up. or the eyes to change into Oriental eyes, etc., etc. It's through evolutionary change. Didn't know a big head scientist in no laboratory,
Speaking on that, and since we know that we've been hit on top of our head and made unconscious, we really don't even we getting back into consciousness. So it's possible because things have been hid from us. Not only that, they talk about the ring around Alaska, the Arctic, the Antarctic, and probably like it's other continents over there. I mean, it's a lot of things possible, but all I know is that we've been lied for a lot of things that we know today. We've been lied to, and what we're trying to do is get from the lie and find the truth. So that's what our journey should be taking us to the truth. And I can't say that I factually know the truth to this and that, but it's possible.
Well, let me say this here on
the
Yakub thing.
I enjoy the story of Yakub, but I don't know if
let me say this on the Yakub thing. In the mythology of Yakub, and this, I'm not putting down the good of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because that was my first contact wake up call. You understand? So I respect that teaching and its impact on Black people. But let's use some logic on that. Yakub was supposed to create the white race from the black germ in 6,000 years, right? First he took the black man, and then he got the brown man from the black man. Then from the brown man, the red man, and the yellow man. And then finally the white man. And that took 6,000 years, right?
Yeah.
According to the mythology, right? But let's break this down. The history of the Chinese people, the so-called yellow man, that has been documented to at least 30,000 years ago. But in the Yakub theory, the yellow people came about in only 6,000 years. So somebody's lying somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
If the Chinese people history has been historically documented back 30,000 years ago.
The original Chinese people was black, though. The original Chinese people was black.
What about the Asiatic black man?
I'm just dealing with the I'm just dealing with the myth as it's literally stated.
Yeah, but what you saying that though? What I'm saying is that the Chinese race, you going back 30,000 years, but that's going back to when us. Now this recent stuff, where they got lighter, where they come from. That's why I say that's really. If we was the original people, original everything, the original Chinese, the original Mexican, and from there a lighter version of that is ruling us all over the planet.
But again, you're missing my point. I'm just dealing with it literally as it's spoken.
Yeah, I got you.
It couldn't be true. If it's a fact that the Chinese history go back more than 30,000 years.
Yeah.
Then how you telling me from another angle that they were just created 6,000 years ago?
If the history 6,000 years ago. Dang. Okay.
But that's a whole nother subject.
That's a whole nother topic. We ain't gonna get on that. We're gonna get back to stick with us, man. So we gonna do them type of shows too now.
But yeah, because I thought it was a good question, because it got to be. It's something. It's tied to me. It's tied to the melanin.
The Chinese did come from us. Now I'm not denying that fact. All the races on planet Earth originated from the black man and woman. We are the first people and only people directly created by Almighty God.
Because they scientifically grafting fish out of fish. How long? I mean, ain't nothing new under the sun. So they had to take. So all I'm saying is that, how else different races gonna come if it was just one?
Well, I say this about the white man. The white man became beastly. He became beastly because he evolved out of the caves, the harsh climate in Europe, in the ice and the snow. In fact,
wasn't he sent there though?
Yeah,
wasn't he sent there?
Because that's the Yakub was supposed. Okay.
Whether he was sent there or, again, Dr. Francis Cress Wells's theory is that some of our African ancestors went into Europe and the climate changed their condition to albino.
Oh, just gonna get into that.
Albino
breeding.
You see, but whichever way it happened, their beastly nature developed out of that harsh climate, which is they came out of Europe acting like barbarians, wanting to destroy everything in their pathway. And that's what we need to be aware. We need to be teaching our youth from an early age. Any black parent that let their children grow up not teaching our children that they have enemies is derelict of duty. We need to be teaching black children from an early age that the white man is their enemy. You understand? I remember one time I was giving a lecture on slavery at this restaurant. They used to have me up there once a month. You give a lecture. And in the midst of my lecture, a lady walked in with her little black child. And when I was breaking down the horrors of what these people have done to our ancestors, she screamed at the top of her voice, "I don't want to hear that. You're going to make my child hate white people." And the lady that owned the restaurant, she came from the back when she overheard her. She told us that, "You need to get out my restaurant because Brother Salim has been coming here for a long time trying to wake our people up, and I don't appreciate how you coming up in here with this mess, disrespecting him like that." You understand? So that lady, that particular lady, was doing her child an injustice. And how many of our children have been done an injustice by the parents or the adults not teaching them the true history of this country? And they end up putting themselves in an environment with white people where they're being taken advantage of in some type of way, or even in some cases, murder.
Trusting doctors because they white.
Exactly.
I gotta say this: you get in some cases, we only teaching about those people being enemy. But you got black people, this our enemy. But a lot of that is teaching. People are being programmed to be our enemy. You know what I'm saying? Just like you got some of, but it's because there's some black people out here, man, that ain't don't care nothing about
people. It's some black people out here that's worse of white supremacists than any Ku Klux Klansman.
Yeah.
So surrounding ourselves around like-minded people.
Y'all heard of that dude Jesse Peterson?
Yeah, Jesse Peterson.
Yeah, he's one of them.
That's Charleston white boy. That's Charleston white boy. Yeah, he one of them.
What's that wench name? That girl's name? That female, the black Republican.
I'm not sure.
Candace Owens.
Candace Owens.
Candace Owens is another one.
Yeah. But they went to certain institutions and had a privileged type of education and was programmed. So I'm saying a lot of people have been raised up to having a type of thoughts and you know what I'm saying, the way they are. Because they ain't taught right. So they can be taught. If your enemy teach them, they'll become your enemy.
Yeah.
If they get the mind of your enemy.
That's right. That's what
I believe after a certain age or like after a certain time limit, the youth is who I'm concerned with. Once a person hit to a certain age, I consider him. He already brainwashed, lost. He gone already. He not even even if he is
not necessarily.
Well,
nah, people can wake
used to say the great Kwame Ture, aka Stokely Carmichael, used to say that every Negro is a potential black man.
That's right.
I understand what you're saying, my brother. Sometimes some of our people are so far gone, it's a waste of time with them.
When it comes to a black family, it's man, woman, and child. So it's all of us at all stages of our life got to be woken up. It ain't, we all got to be woken up because you can wake up children. What the Willie Lynch say? The old against the young, this and that.
Yeah.
So we all is being affected, and we all have to wake up, and we all have to be. You know what I'm saying?
You have to have an open mind, though. You have to have an open mind for the truth.
That's right. But children are easier because you can teach them from you. You can get them right without none of that stuff spoiling them.
And that's what Malcolm said. Malcolm's last message was go after the youth.
Yeah.
That was his last message.
But they are the future.
Yeah.
But right now in Chicago, the drill rappers is their messiah, and that's who they look up to. And we got to cut that connection.
Yeah, for sure.
We have to expose it and cut that connection because the youth is going like what you call it, the what's the name, goat? What's that goat called? Did everybody
let me get ready to close out by making this last statement, my brothers, and then I'm gonna be out of here. I want the young black brothers, the young members of the street organizations, the gangbangers, as you're called in some circles, to understand that your role as created by the Creator, is to protect your community, to stand up and help the old, the elderly, the old men and women in the community, to, lead the Black woman down the path of righteousness that brother Malcolm X, brother Alhaj Malik Shabazz, when he would see the women walking on the so-called whole stroll in New York City, in Harlem, he wouldn't call those females bitches and hoes. He would wave at those sisters and tell them, come over here. And they would sit down with Malcolm. And Malcolm would spend, time with them, letting them know that they were queens and princesses, that these are the people that they descended from, that they were not thoughts as we call them nowadays. And many times, many of those sisters you will see months later in the temples of Islam having totally transformed their character and the type of person that they were. This is the God-given role of the Black man, to uplift our women and to teach them right. You understand? Black brothers, this is my message to you brothers out there, that we have to flip it, man. You understand? And understand the trick and the deception of Satan that we have been victimized by. You understand? Another thing, let me share another anecdote about Brother Malcolm. One day he was in the temple. And I have to talk about Malcolm because this is what my organization, the Flaming Crescent Society, is based upon. Philosophy of Brother Malcolm X. One day Malcolm was in the temple and Malcolm was giving a talk. And a sister came into the temple and her shoes was ran down. She had tore up stockings and a raggedy dress on. And one of the Nation of Islam brothers laughed at the sister. He sniggered, and Malcolm caught what he did. And you know what Malcolm did? Malcolm came down off the podium and motioned for the brother to come outside. And he gave this brother a tongue lashing that when the brother came back into the temple, he had tears in his eyes, because Malcolm let him know that you don't disrespect the Black woman this way. You understand? And guess what? A couple weeks later, that same sister walked back in the temple, and she had brand new high heels on, a brand new dress, brand new hairdo. That same brother that laughed at her, he had did all of this for her. And they went on and got married. You understand? See, this is the type of Black man that Brother Malcolm X was. And this is the type of Black man that we as Black men should pattern ourselves at. The weapons that you brothers have, you must use this to protect your people, to protect your race, because one day, as they depicted in what was that series of movies they did, The Purge?
Yeah.
One of the most recent series of Purge movies showed the Ku Klux Klan invading the Black community. And when that killing took place in New York recently, when that white supremacist came in the Black community and killed 10 Black people, that was an example or symbolized by that movie, The Purge.
Yeah.
So one day, the bullets that you young brothers is wasting on each other, you may have to use those same weapons and to protect your race, to keep your race from being exterminated. Do you all understand this, Black man?
Man,
Absolutely.
That's my last message.
That's real stuff, Celine. One thing I want to say to that, one thing is not only that, Celine, all of these good, strong warriors is getting taken out, but that's our army y'all picking off.
yeah.
That's our army. Y'all picking our army apart. All y'all soldiers looking at day face to face, y'all the ones that are supposed to defend us. Go to war for us so we can get this thing back. And he got y'all picking yourself. Warriors are dying. FBG Duck was a warrior. King Von was a warrior. You know, and now and brothers like that is getting picked away because they turning on each other. So what the brother the message just said is we got to respond. We have to stop this foolishness, this silliness, man. And we need to start going ahead and turn it around and start helping defending us and letting us go forward than to keep tearing us down and killing us, keeping us down.
Now one thing we really kind of ain't really get on was the organ trafficking. You know what I'm saying? We kind of brushed past that a little bit when it came to the the new abortion law that got passed and stuff like that. And I did want to kind of put that opinion out there a little bit more so people can kind of see.
Let me just say something on that real quick. One of the sinister things that's going on with these abortions is that for a long time, the pharmaceutical industry has been taking the body parts of these babies, most of whom are black. The majority of, from what I understand, the statistics state that the majority of abortions are conducted against black and other minority infants. So that means that, and it's also been implicated, that in some of the cosmetics and some of the drugs and even some of the food that people have been eating, there have been reports that they are using parts from fetal cells. In these products. We need to be aware of the sinister purpose behind the abortion industry, that Planned Parenthood has been busted, making financial deals and with selling these body parts, of these children. And we also need to be aware that there have been reports that the underground organ trade, that is a connection, illegal connection between, a lot of the killings that's going on and the funeral homes.
Yeah. And the missing women.
And the missing women. That's another thing that a subject that a sister brought up to me yesterday. A sister named Peggy is on the black women that's coming up missing. A lot of these people that's coming up missing, whether they be women or our children, and even in many cases, men, these their body parts are feeding the illegal underground organ trade.
We're being used as batteries.
That's right. That's right. We need to wake up. We need to come together. We need to unify, and we need to protect our own.
Yeah. And when it comes to, like, let's say like aloe vera, let's say that's selling. Like, what would you do if it's selling? You're gonna figure out a way how to increase it. You know what I'm saying? So now the fact that y'all using baby stuff, baby fetuses or whatever for lotions and baby cells for lotions and stuff, y'all using them beneficial to help y'all. So what y'all trying to do with stopping the abortions? Are y'all trying to increase it?
That's right.
So y'all can increase the harvesting. You know what I'm saying?
That's, right. That's what it sounds like.
And that all goes back to what I was saying about the feminist movement and the abortion movement. These women, many of them are into witchcraft, sorcery, Satanism, and they worship that demonic god Lilith.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? This is what's fueling that mythology is fueling that movement. Some of these people are evil people.
Yeah.
And they are taking advantage of black people.
And one thing you need to know is our youth, our babies, they got so much nutrients in them that they got studies that's out here where they taking baby shit and putting it inside them for the good bacteria. So they going all the way down to our shit to take and get. If they can get nutrients off our shit, what they getting from our bodies, breaking us down. You know what I'm saying? So we got to really think about that.
Melanin is $1 billion underground industry.
That's right.
We need to understand that. A lot of these people are coming up missing in our community, not by accident.
So Celine, this my brother Celine world. This brother here, powerful. We got so much he can go on, but we don't want to keep the brother. He got things to do, and we gonna close this podcast. But we definitely gonna bring him up. We can have you once a week, once every 2 weeks, brother. Is that possible?
It's very much possible, my brother. We got to keep the truth rolling.
Okay,
right.
so
what we gonna write up some more questions. I'm gonna write up some more questions. I'd like to ask you, especially
please do that, my brother.
Honorable
Feel free.
Muhammad.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we need everybody to smack them comments too with questions for the next episode.
Right. And guess what I want y'all to do, everybody on the panel? We're gonna close out, and I want all the brothers on the panel. We're gonna say one nation, man. So we're gonna close out to all of y'all. One nation.
One nation.
One nation.
All right.